welcome back to my channel. My name is Kristen. Welcome if this is your first time stopping by. I want to do a 2024 goals / reading goals video because it is the beginning of the year and I kind of want to hold myself accountable to these goals. So I think that putting them out there on a video to my audience, it'll help me stay accountable, and then you guys can hold me accountable as well. And I have quite a few, so let's just get right into this video and I'll talk to you about my 2024 reading goals. So last year, according to Goodreads, I read 93 books. Now, my goal was only 52 books. Last year was my first full trying to read as much as I can and really enjoy reading year. And I only wanted to read a book a week, and I thought that that was a pretty safe goal for myself, and I blew it out of the water. I exceeded it so much, and I can't complain too much about that. I am super excited that I read as much as I did. So this year I didn't go to 100 books because I know that that will put way too much pressure on myself and will also kind of take away the enjoyment of reading. So this year my goal is to read 75 books. Now, 75 books is a lot of books for me. Yes, I did read 93 last year, but that doesn't mean that I can repeat that. So with all of that being said, there are quite a few books that I do want to get to this year. And I did in my previous video share the 24 books that I want to read in 2024, but I have a couple of other lists that I have on my radar of books that I want to get to this year and kind of how I want to approach my reading this year. So if you saw my getting to know me video that I did earlier in December, I talked about how this year I'm going to be turning 30. So I have a list of 30 books I want to read before I turn 30. And I do have some of those books from the 2024 list on that as well, but those are going to be my high priority books at the beginning of the year. I really want to make sure that I read all of those books. And I'm not going to go into too many of those books because I can touch on those in a different video, but just know that I do have 30 books on that list that are very important for me to get to, and I want to see it through. So you guys will see those books show up quite a bit in the first few months of the year. So with our TBR videos, it'll show up as, maybe extra books that maybe weren't selected, and also books that maybe I'll put them on my TBR and I want to make sure that I grab them off my TBR cart. So with that being said, my highest priority this year is to just read as many of my physical books that I have on my TBR as possible. I think I have over 300 books right now on my physical TBR, and that is so daunting to me because when I look at my shelves, this is not even all of my shelves, this is just one, but when I look at my shelves, I honestly get overwhelmed and it freezes me up. It's like I completely have decision paralysis. So I really want to dwindle down my physical TBR this year and try my best to really read the books that I already have and not purchase new books. That being said, there are a couple on my radar that I really want to read, such as I want to continue the Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairy Life, or not life, series. Another high priority one for me is continuing the Maple Hills series. So I have the first two books. I read Icebreaker. I have Wildfire on my list for 2024 and my 30 before 30. And then I also would like to get Daydream. So that one is one that I will let myself purchase when it comes out. That is a very high priority book for me. In terms of trying to dwindle down my physical books and not purchase new books, the only other books that I'm allowing myself to purchase are books that are special editions of books that I really care about that may be coming out this year or have come out in the past, but they're special editions and they're books that I truly love. And I think that there's only a couple of authors that I really let myself purchase if they come out with a new book this year. So that'd be Jessie Q Santanto and Holly Jackson. Those are two really high priority writers for me that I will buy any book that they come out with and read it and devour it. So those are probably the only ones that are the exceptions to the rule until I have a goal set for once I get through 25 books of my physical TBR, then I will allow myself to purchase one book. And I know that seems excessive, but it's what I need to do so I don't overwhelm myself with buying more books when I'm trying to get rid of some of the books that I already have. And my goal is also to only keep books that are 4 stars and above. If they are 3-star and below, then I do not need it as a physical copy on my shelf. And I will either sell it on Pango Books or I will donate them to my local donation centers. Now, some of those physical books I want to touch on are series that I want to continue or either start. And I want to go through a few of them that are on my list. I, of course, have more than this, but I want to go through these ones first. And then we'll kind of touch on the others. So let's talk about continuation series that I want to do first. So I would really like to continue the ACOTAR world. I honestly don't know if I would ever read like the Throne of Glass series, but we'll see. I do want to read this one, which is the next one, A Court of Mist and Fury. Everybody's favorite book seems to be. But this series is definitely a continuation series that I really want to ensure that I get to this year. And then I did mention that the other one that is a continuation series is the Maple Hills series. Even though that is a standalone interconnected, I still want to do a continuation of that. Another book that I just currently read or am reading the series is The Mile High by Liz Ford. I don't know what the series is called, but I want to read the other books in this series, which are The Right Move, Caught Up, and then I think she's coming up with a 4th one. So I want to make sure that I read all of the books in this series as well, and try to get that one out of my series list that I've started as well. Now, series that I want to start, the Caraval / Once Upon a Broken Heart series. This is the exclusive edition from Waterstones paperback. I have the Barnes & Noble one as well, but I don't have like the hardcovers. I just have these ones, and I really want to read this trilogy. Everybody and their mother read this last year. They were obsessed with it. They said it was amazing. It's very fairy tale-esque, and that makes it a high priority for me. So this is definitely a book I want to get to this year. So important to get to this entire trilogy. I would like to read all of them, but they are definitely on my series list for this year. Then we have Elsie Silver's Chestnut Spring series is definitely on my priority. So I have the first 3. These are actually the British versions before they came out with the same covers for the US. So Powerless, Flawless, and Heartless are the 3 that I have. I haven't even started these, but I know that I want to read the whole series this year if I can. So these books are definitely on my TBR. Then we have the duology of Dance of Thieves and Vow of Thieves by Mary E. Pearson. This, I don't know too much about it, but I know that earlier in the year it was like a super high priority for me in 2023, and then I never got to it. And my best friend has read these and she really enjoyed them, so they're definitely high on my list this year. Another little fantasy series for me, and it's a duology, so I feel like it's easier for me to digest than going into a 10-book like fantasy series. Speaking of bigger series, I actually really want to read the Harry Potter series. I've never read Harry Potter. I've seen all of the movies, but I own the box set right over here, and I want to make sure that I read them this year. I know that these are books that a lot of kids read in like middle school. I did not, but now that I've seen all the movies, I think it's time for me to finally tackle the series, and this is a big series for me to tackle. I feel like this will be a good one to kind of just get in the middle of, like, if I'm reading something and I just want something a little bit easier to read because this is middle grade, then I'll pick up the Harry Potter series. And then the last series / duology that I really want to read is Divine Rivals and Ruthless Vows. This is on my 24 for 2024, also my 30 before 30, and a book that has been on my radar since it came out last year, where everybody became completely obsessed with it. So this is a high priority series for me, and I want to get this and read these books and get them off my TBR as well. In terms of my goals for this channel, I want to really take my time and make sure that I'm putting out content that I truly enjoy and know that I will watch. And I want to grow my audience, obviously, but I also just want to keep a continued schedule and try not to fall out of a schedule. I have a really hard time with making sure that I take the time to read and also like share my reading like kind of like sharing things that are important to me in the reading world. I know that there's book talk, which I consume a lot of, but I don't post. Then I consume a lot of BookTube and I don't post. So I would just want to make sure that I'm also putting out the content that I care about and kind of sharing my opinions, because while there are quite a few people on Book Talk and quite a few people in BookTube, and there's just a lot of content creators in this space, I think it's important to have multiple voices and point of views, and everybody has a different like preference, and I think that getting as many voices out there to share recommendations and share thoughts about books, I think that's really important. So I really want to focus on my channel and just growing and creating a good community of individuals that think similar to me, or maybe don't, but will share like good insight. And I also want to have a really strong filming schedule. I am going to try to do 2 times a week. The only thing is I am not the most creative person, so I need help with creating ideas. So if you guys have ideas for things you want to see, let me know. But I definitely want to try to do 2 times a week. I'm going to try to do Tuesdays and Fridays, but if I don't have more than one idea for the week, it'll probably be Tuesdays. So that is just something that's a high priority for me for this year and a personal goal of mine. Another personal goal I have is doing a reading journal. Now, I use Goodreads, I use Storygraph to mark what I've read, put down like immediate thoughts and like, you know, my ratings and everything, but I've never really taken the time to truly think about the books that I'm reading, and I feel like sometimes when I read books, I don't really remember what I read like a couple weeks later. So I think that in that moment when I finish a book, if I take the time to sit down, put my thoughts on paper, that it'll help. So I did purchase this reading journal from Amazon. It's literally just called the Reading Journal. I don't remember who the seller was. If I can find it, I'll link it down below. But it gives you pretty much everything you need. So it gives you like your little reading challenge page, gives you books you want to read, so you have like little sheets to just write down all the books that you want to read. Then it gives you your book's finished, and you can fill this up and fill this up with your ratings, and you have several pages of that. But what really is awesome, so that has like a favorite books section, which is cool, a did not finish section. It has a books borrowed and a books lent section, which is really important to me because I lend out a lot of my books and then I don't get them back. And then it has your book review. So I wrote, like for this one's Love Life Farms, you can pick your book. Is it physical or is it an audiobook? And then you put like your thoughts on the page, and then you can do thoughts and quotes, which I tend to not like annotate, so I don't really keep thoughts and quotes in the forefront of my mind. And then like this one's Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies. It's a physical book, and then I just put down like my immediate thoughts and notes right here. So there are just a few pages of that to really get my thoughts out there. This one is Hooked by Emily McIntyre, which I really enjoyed. So I just think that this will help me with keeping like the books that I'm reading, like keeping them fresh in my mind, and then if I don't remember something, I can go back through this and be like, oh yeah, I read that. Because in Goodreads, sometimes I just tend to put the rating and then I don't really remember like, what did I think about that book? Like, who would it be good for? Who would I recommend it to, etc. So that is all I have for you guys today. I know it's a short little video, but I really wanted to share my thoughts out there. Again, please hold me accountable to these goals. I really want to make sure that I succeed this year with some goals that I set for myself. I also want to know like some of your 2024 reading goals. Like, how many books are you guys planning on reading? What books are high on your priority list? Like, what are things that you are setting for yourself to reach this year? Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Comment down below, what do you want to see from me? As always, I love your input and your thoughts, and I will always appreciate any comments that you guys leave, and I will try to respond to every single one. Thank you guys so much, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Bye!